how many Iranian nuclear plants which have been damaged during Israeli strikes?
Going by the reports that they have given,
Exactly.
they have attacked Natanz, Fordo, and they have tried to reach Isfahan and also Bushehr. I don't think that they have been able to do much harm to, for example, the centrifuges.
So, what was the stage when Israel carried out these strikes on Iranian nuclear facility? Was Iran near developing nuclear weapons and things like that?
They are very close to developing a nuclear weapons capability.
What prompted Israel to carry out such strike, and that has caused major human loss and as well as defense capabilities and infrastructure loss inside in Iran?
The Israeli action can trigger a very serious conflict. It can force Iran to launch its own nuclear weapons program.
Where was Iranian Air Force? Where were its missiles that could not prevent such a deadly attack?
I myself feel that all these various attacks
Defense
that
capabilities.
Israel has undertaken could not have been possible without a serious breach of intelligence in Iran.
Exactly. Jordan's position is quite surprising. And it's quite astonishing that it doesn't stop its airspace for Israeli war jets.
Jordan is in a very precarious situation. Jordan is a very fragile country. Jordan thinks that it should not be brought into the conflict with Israel because it wants to live in peace with Israel.
So do you think after reaching out to Iran in future, somehow there could be any direct and indirect threat from Israel to Pakistan?
Pakistan has expressed its moral support for Iran and has condemned the Israeli action.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, the biggest and the global news is that Israel finally carried out deadly airstrikes inside Iran, and that resulted into the killing of Iranian top military leadership as well as massive damage to Iranian defense capabilities and facilities. Iran, in response to Israeli attack, has said that it will take revenge, and it has carried out drone attacks inside in Israel. Israel has intercepted some of the drones, but so far there are no reports whether Iranian-fired drones have damaged anything in Israel. Some of the Iranian drones were intercepted by Jordan and were destroyed in Jordanian airspace. Israeli attack on Iran was condemned by Pakistan, by Saudi Arabia, by United Arab Emirates, by Russia, and by a number of countries around the world. And strongly condemned these attacks, expressed strong solidarity. Pakistani Foreign Office statement said that under UN Charter, Iran reserves the right to defend its territorial integrity and reserves the right to retaliate. So what will be the consequences of this deadly Israeli attack on Iran? And at the same time, Iran has also said that it will no more be holding talks on its nuclear program with the United States. What will be the consequences? What prompted Israel to carry out such strikes on Iran? Despite the America was reluctant to give permission to Israel, but finally, Americans also said that they are not behind the attack, although they are extending full support to Israel. To discuss this all, we are fortunate to have with us Senior Strategic Affairs Analyst, Executive Director of Center for International and Security Studies, former Pakistan's ambassador to Jordan and a number of other countries, Ambassador Sarwar Naqvi Saab. Ambassador Sarwar Naqvi Saab, very warm welcome to program Inside in V News English.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure to have. So please share your thoughts that Over the last many months, Israel has been threatening to carry out strikes on Iranian nuclear facility. Ambassador Ali Saab and Naqvi Saab, according to reports which have been carried in international media, and also the head of International Atomic Energy Agency, in a statement before UN Security Council, also confirmed that there has been damage to Iranian nuclear facilities. Please share with details how many Iranian nuclear plants which have been damaged during Israeli strikes.
Going by the reports that they have given,
Exactly.
they have attacked Natanz, Fordu, and they have tried to reach Isfahan and also Bushehr. In Bushehr, I think they have caused some damage, and they have caused damage in Natanz. But most of the Iranian nuclear facilities are, as far as I know, they are underground, deep underground. So I don't think that they have been able to do much harm to, for example, the centrifuges. There has to be a cascade of centrifuges, several thousand centrifuges through which the uranium has to pass, and thus it becomes refined. So this is a process in the development of enriched uranium. So I don't think they have hit those facilities which are enriching uranium.
So these centrifuges are still intact.
Yes, yes, I think so. They are underground and they are still intact. And there are 5 or 6 centers where Iran has centrifuges, cascades set up, installed. And those 5 or 6 centers are, Natanz and Fordu and Isfahan and Bushehr. And there are some undisclosed places also that we don't know about.
Ambassador Naqvi Saab, so in attacks that has been carried out by Israeli Air Force, as you said, that centrifuges are still intact. At the time of the attack, Iran was at which stage of uranium enrichment? Because there are a number of Western reports which claim that Iran was close to making nuclear weapons. So what was the stage when Israel carried out these strikes or Iranian nuclear facility? Was Iran near developing nuclear weapons and things like that?
Yes, that's a good question, Mateen Saab. You see, under the JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, that was agreed between Iran and P5+1, the permanent members of the Security Council, plus Germany. Now, they had reached an agreement that Iran will not enrich uranium beyond 2.5%. But after that, Iran maintained that in some medical situations, isotopes are required which have require uranium which has refinement of 20%. So then it was raised to 20%. Now Western sources are claiming that they have enriched up to 60%. For having weapons, for weapons grade refinement, it has to be 90% and above. So Iran is from 60 to 90, another 30% behind. But the gap between 60 and 90 can be covered very quickly in a matter of a few weeks. So they are very close to developing a nuclear weapons capability.
So after this Israeli airstrikes on nuclear facilities, as you said, that the gap between 60 and 90% could be covered quite easily. In future, do you think Iran nuclear capabilities will take Iran to making of the full nukes? Because now, after war, right? So Iran may not know except any pressure, anything like that. So the future of Iranian nuclear process.
Yes. I think that the way things are developing, Iran, for its own national security, for its existential identity, Iran has to proceed ahead in its nuclear program. You see, only the nuclear program, only weapons capability is a guarantee that others will not conduct war on you. Look at North Korea. They have a nuclear weapons program, and though they are very provocative to the West from
Mhm.
time to time, but the West dare not attack North Korea. So I think, and look at the other side, Ukraine. Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons, and look what has happened to Ukraine. It has been attacked by Russia. So I think that Iran, if it is forced, will be also developing further the enrichment capability. And then it will be having weapons grade material. But hopefully, the Ayatollah Khamenei has said that Iran is not intending to build a nuclear weapons capability, and they will not have nuclear bombs. So, if there is an ideological or a religious reason, then of course they will abstain from doing it. But nothing can stop the Iranians from proceeding ahead because they have been attacked by Israel.
Exactly.
You see, it is
And that is an open war now. Exactly.
unprovoked and totally unjustified attack on the territorial sovereignty of Iran. Now, somebody was saying that they have destroyed all their ballistic missile facilities.
Mhm.
But this morning, Iran has attacked all over Israel, so even in small towns in Israel.
Including capital
Yes,
Tel Aviv.
including the capital Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. So I think this is certainly yet not yet over, and Iran has an enormous capacity still to deal with this situation.
Last only in Israeli strikes on nuclear facilities, but also in capital and other places, their top nuclear scientists were also assassinated. So, what do you think in the aftermath of these high-profile assassinations of nuclear scientists? Iran will be still in a position to work progressively on its nuclear program because this is a very colossal loss.
Yes, it is certainly a big loss, and they will have difficulties because the head of their nuclear program, two of their top scientists, have been reported to have been killed. So they will have problems, but I think those problems are not insurmountable, and because Iran is determined. To ensure its security, it will proceed ahead with development of nuclear weapons.
And have you seen some concerns or some reports or some confirmation from international atomic energy agencies, reports about the damages to the nuclear sites in Iran?
I have not seen reports on the damages, but the debate in the Security Council a few days before the attack was that the IAEA maintained that Iran has not complied with all its regulations and all its requirements. So there is a gray area where Iran has not followed the IAEA. I was in Vienna as Pakistan's ambassador at the time when the Iran case came up before the Board of Governors. First,
And you were part of
2002,
negotiations. You were part of negotiations.
yes, 2003. So
Yes.
ever since this issue is going on. So I think this war is, today Iran has attacked. Again, Israel might do something. Trump seems to be quite happy with Israel's attack. So it is very unfortunate that this kind of situation is prevailing. And we must all hope that some better sense will prevail over them.
What prompted Israel to carry out such strike, and that has caused major human loss and as well as defense capabilities and infrastructure loss inside in Iran.
Well, you see, Mateen Saab, Israel has been threatening Iran since a long time.
Exactly.
And they have been saying that they are determined to eliminate their nuclear facilities and their nuclear program. Therefore, it was not a surprise in that sense, but the timing was a surprise because there was no immediate provocation or cause
Mm.
for launching this strike. Uh, the Israeli action is a gross violation of international law. Israel is the aggressor and has invaded the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Iran. Though, so Iran, under Article 51 of the UN Charter of self defense, has the right to hit back at Israel.
Mm.
The United States has said that it is not involved in this matter. The
Exactly.
European Union has also distanced itself, and the British government has also made a statement. So, all the Western countries are not supporting Israel.
Mm.
Uh, and this is very surprising because normally they give full support to Israel. But because this is such a unprovoked and such a violent and a serious violation of international law, that all these countries have found it not have found it difficult to give any support to Israel.
Mm.
Now, the
Yes.
Iranian government has retaliated by drone strikes, but
Inside Israel.
it is still it inside Israel, but
Mm.
it has suffered losses, and they are a very mature and sensible uh, government in terms of their foreign policy. So I expect that Iran will undertake a proper retaliation in due course of time. Uh, Now, the situation is extremely worrisome and grim because the Israeli action can trigger a very serious conflict. Secondly, it can it can force Iran to launch its own nuclear weapons program. So far, Iran has
Not announced. Not
exercised
announced.
has exercised restraint and has not done it. And Irani leaders, especially the rival from Ayatollah Khamenei, has said that Iran does not plan to develop nuclear weapons. But in view of such a direct threat to their sovereignty by Israel, the Iranians might well decide in their own supreme national interest
Mm.
to develop a nuclear weapons capability. And that would become very dangerous because already tensions are very high. And it would
Exactly.
worry not just Israel, but it would worry the Middle Eastern countries, especially Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, uh, uh, Kuwait, whatever have you. So all these countries will be very are concerned about their security. This is a serious uh, escalation of the crisis, of the
Mm.
tension in the region, and Israel is likely to face very big opposition from Iran in this regard.
Don't you think that such measure would be vetoed by Israel's staunch supporter United States and the Security Council? Because without reaching a consensus, right, this, as you said, this would be a major decision imposing sanctions against Israel. So that needs the consensus of all five permanent Security Council members, and anyone can veto.
Yes, that is true because the Americans have just vetoed 2 days ago a resolution
Ceasefire.
on ceasefire in
Exactly.
Gaza. So that possibility is there, but it would at least show to the world that the international community has opposed Israeli action in Iran.
Hmm.
Uh, the conflict is likely to cause a serious disruption of trade, and particularly oil. And the oil prices are likely to go up. They have already gone up a little bit, but I think it's going to get much worse, which would affect the income of the Gulf countries, as well as the economic cost of many other countries, including Pakistan.
Excellency,
So,
Ambassador Sarwar Naqvi Saab, we have seen one report according to which the Israeli officials claim that days before this attack, they smuggled some of the heavy weapons, including drones, launchers, and number of other communication and ammunition facilities inside in Iran. So, question is that. Don't you think that Iran has a strong intelligence and counterintelligence system? Where was Iran's air force? Where was Iran's air defense system? That was 300 defense system, exactly as 300 defense system that was involved. And where was Iranian air force? Where were its missile that could not prevent such a deadly attack?
yes, I think that is a very good point that you have raised. Uh, I myself feel that all these various attacks that
Defense
Israel
capabilities.
has undertaken could not have been possible without a serious breach of intelligence in Iran.
Exactly.
I think there are some elements inside Iran which are either supporting Israel or are
Leaking
working
information.
for them.
Hmm.
Yes. So this is a matter of great concern because 200 planes flew
Exactly.
into Iran
At
and
different locations.
300 locations were targeted.
Hmm.
And they have assassinated number of senior military uh, personalities in Iran.
Including Armed
So
Forces Chief, General Bakri,
yes,
hmm.
yes, and armed forces chief and the head of
Revolutionary
the
Guards Chief,
Iranian
General Salami.
Revolutionary Guards. Yes, so it is a matter of concern. But you see, Iran is a very resilient nation, and you will recall that in the Iran-Iraq War, they fought for 8 years at a time when the revolutionary regime was quite
Hmm.
young in a way. They had just taken over power in 1979, and the
Hmm.
Iran-Iraq War broke in 82 or 83. So just a few years after the revolution took place in Iran, the Iran-Iraq War started. And Saddam Hussein at that time had a very powerful military force. So Iran was able to deal with it. So I think these attacks are, of course, very detrimental to Iran's security, but Iran has great resilience. So I
But what
think they will be able
they
to
will give a
counter it.
response, exactly. They will
Yeah.
definitely give a response, and there are a number of American military bases in the region, which Iran says
Yes.
to be targeted. What are the other options? Although Iran doesn't have a strong air force, but Israel has air power, and its air power is one of the strongest air power in the Middle East. So, what do you think, as far as defense is concerned? What other options, as far as defense capabilities are concerned? Iran can opt those all things because it doesn't have that air power. Drone is one that you talked about. That Iranian drone has finally reached inside Israel. What other defense options Iran
Well,
has
they have
against Israel?
yeah, yeah. They also have ballistic missiles,
Hmm.
and though Israel is claiming that it has destroyed some
Destroyed
of
it.
their ballistic missile facilities, but I think there are still ballistic missiles in other locations that Iran can use,
Hmm.
and all have not been destroyed. That is one, and the other is that Iran will be able to attack American installations and
In the
bases
region.
in the region, and that could be very serious. And Americans will not like to be targeted like this. Uh, I think the best way is to take this towards a diplomatic
Hmm.
uh, solution. And for that, there will have to be action by the international community in the Security Council and outside the Security Council also. I think the Arab countries, the Middle Eastern countries, will prevail upon the United States to restrain Israel from further aggravating and escalating.
Ambassador Ali Sabar Naqvi Saab, you have served in Jordan. Jordan's position is quite surprising. And it's quite astonishing that it doesn't stop its airspace for Israeli war jets. But when there are counterattack from Iranian side and Iranian drone, Jordanians, they intercept Iranian drones and after intercepting, destroy them. Unable, of course, then it's not possible to reach Israel. Why Jordan has this position? Why it
You
is
see,
blindly spotting Israel? Yes.
Jordan is in a very precarious situation. Jordan is a very fragile country. It was created in the 1920s, as you would know,
Hmm.
and it is sandwiched between big powers.
Hmm.
And Jordan thinks that it should not be brought into the conflict with Israel because it wants to live in peace with Israel. In fact, Jordan is one of the few countries in the Arab world which has diplomatic relations with Israel. And so, this is not a question of uh, Muslims and Jews, for example, or ideologies. It's a question of geopolitics. And
Hmm.
Jordan, in this geopolitics, is actually trying to play a role in which it does not seem to be hostile to Israel.
Hmm.
And this is unfortunate because normally it should be showing solidarity with the Iranian side or with any Muslim country which is in a conflict with Israel. But the Jordanians have been quite, uh, if not friendly, very accommodative of Israel.
Ambassador
So
Elisa
it is
Naqvi, please complete sentence. Then I have
no,
another.
it's yeah, it is a question of geopolitics, not of any other factor.
Jordan has to survive in the
Has to
existing
survive. Exactly.
circumstances.
Exactly.
Ambassador Elisa Naqvi, you're well aware about Strait of Hormuz, and that is a very strategic, of course, strait. And one of
Yes.
the, of course, major Gulf and Arab countries' oil supplies passes through this Strait of Hormuz. And Iran can block
Yes.
that. What do you think? So, if it blocks this oil supply in the Strait of Hormuz, blocks it, it will be another major blow to oil supplies to the Western countries that passes through this particular strait.
You are quite right. Actually, the real danger is the oil supplies which are being produced or excavated or extracted in the Middle Eastern countries, and the trade and the movement of oil tankers through the Straits of Hormuz and into the outside eastern areas of the Far East and all. So that is a very serious problem. And I think that will be directly affected by this conflict between Israel and Iran and will cause severe repercussions in the rest of the world.
So, Ambassador Ali Sarwar Naqvi Saab, since you are also an international affairs expert, in the past we have seen there was very strong strategic defense security cooperation between Tehran and Moscow. That close cooperation we haven't seen now. So, what do you think? Which are the countries in the region which might be extending practical support to Tehran at this time of difficulty?
Yes, I think they will. Basically, they will be trying to stop the conflict,
Hmm.
and for that they will probably support any move or any initiative to have a ceasefire.
Hmm.
And in this regard, China and Russia will be very active. Supporting Iran, yes, I think it is quite possible that they would support Iran's position,
Hmm.
but they also have relations with Israel. So they will try to balance that with support for Iran. Uh, the other countries on the Security Council, some African countries and some Middle Eastern countries, would be, I think, uh, trying to restrain every party, both parties, and there will be an effort to have some immediate end of the conflict that has developed.
So, since next to Iran, Ali Sabar Naqvi Sahib is Pakistan, where me and you are sitting and discussing this, and it is Pakistan is also a nuclear state. So, do you think after reaching out to Iran in future, somehow there could be any direct and indirect threat from Israel to Pakistan?
Yes, well, it's essentially in the first place, Pakistan has expressed its moral support for Iran
Hmm.
and has condemned the Israeli action. In the statement of the foreign minister and deputy prime minister, Mr. Sakhdar, as well as the spokesman of the foreign office.
Exactly.
Secondly, Pakistan is deeply concerned with the uh, possibility of such a conflict. And Pakistan has been supported by Iran recently in the India Pakistan
Exactly.
clash. Yeah, so we owe it to Iran to extend our support to them. In any case, we have no interest in supporting Israel. Israel is a country which we don't even recognize.
But threat from
So,
Israel cannot be ruled out. Threat from Israel cannot be ruled out.
yes, cannot be ruled out. And in that case, Pakistan will take defensive action, whatever is appropriate. So, we have to see how things develop.
Ambassador Elisabeth Negvisab, since you keep a very close eye on nuclear, of course, program, nuclear weapons, disarmament, and these all things. So, what do you think? What was the offer that Trump is now mentioning that we made a very reasonable offer and a deal to Iran, which Iran basically rejected? What was that deal which was not acceptable to Iran? And finally, Iran has to face such consequences.
Well, you see, the I don't know what the U.S. offer was.
Hmm.
President Trump has not spelled it out, but yeah, my feeling is, or my own assessment is, that the Americans offered removing some of the sanctions and releasing Iranian funds if Iran does not develop further enrichment of uranium, uh, which has they have gone up to 60%. But if
Hmm.
they are forced to stop at 60%, then they will not be able to have weapons grade, what is called fissile material of 90% and above. So there is a gap, and Iran has not achieved it yet. So I think the offer must have been to forthwith stop the production of all fissile material. And does not seem to be agreeable to
Agreed
that.
on this. There is
Yeah.
another, of course, discussion and reports which appears in regional international media that efforts are being made by the West, of course, by Israel and United States, to make a regime change in Iran. Do you think that is possible at this time when Iranian regime is very strong? Recently, Iranian people have elected President Mr.
Masood,
Pezeshkian, and of course, they have
yes.
their spiritual leader has very strong grip over the country. Youth has supported in the election of the new president. So, do you think, in the prevailing circumstances, there could be any possibility of regime change in Iran that suits best?
You know, Mateen Saab, this is a big fantasy of the West that they can bring about a regime change in Iran,
Hmm.
because the Iranian people They stand by their government whenever there is a crisis. And in this situation, even those who were opposed to the Iranian government will now support the revolutionary regime. So I think Iranian nationalism is very strong, and it will come into play. And the Western countries should forget about regime change. You know, they could not get the regime changed or toppled even a few years, 2, 3 years after the regime came into Iraq war. So how can they expect the revolutionary regime to change? I don't think the revolutionary regime is not only ideological; it is also national. The nationalistic aspect of the regime is such that there is no possibility that the Iranian people will want a overthrow of it. If there is a change, it will come from the Iranian system, and the people will vote for more liberal candidates and things like that. But I don't think that there can be an immediate change of the regime.
Ambassador Ali Sarwar Naqvi Saab, there is very another important development, and that development is that Saudi Arabia and France, they are the co-host of a UN conference, which will be taking place 17th to 20th of June at United Nations in New York. And international media has quoted some of the leaked American cables, and according to which America is threatening the participating countries that if they will take anti-Israel position, they will have to face the consequences. What is this happening? The conference is at UN and co-hosted by Saudi Arabia and France, and through a leaked American cable, right? So Americans are threatening, and of course, Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Mr. Ishaq Dar, is all set to leave for New York to attend that particular conference, 17 to 20. So what is this development? Do you think due to American pressure, the participating countries may not participate and conference may not take place?
Well, you see, the conference is likely to take place because Saudi Arabia and France have organized it, and it is not easy to completely close or call off a conference. But you are right. I mean, the Americans are very upset, and they want to urge countries not to attend it. You see, this is, to me, the same way in which the Americans oppose all those countries which vote against the US in various UN resolutions. But still, those countries do vote against US in the General Assembly as well as in other UN bodies. So this attempt by the US to stop this conference, I think, is not very wise. And basically, this conference is in support of the Palestinians and for the two-state solution. And Americans have changed their stance because they used to support themselves. They used to support the two-state solution. So I think, yes, this is happening. This opposition of the Americans is there. President Trump is opposed to it, but I think it will take place.
Most of the European countries are now recognizing Palestine, and France has also hinted that it could recognize Palestinian state. That will irritate definitely America and Israel, and France is their coalition partner. So how you see this development? Many of the European countries are now on a path to recognize Palestinian state. That will, of course, give further boost, and it will enhance their spirit, Palestinian spirit, if European countries recognize Palestinian state.
Yes. Yes, I think Americans are actually going against the tide. The tide is in favor of a Palestinian state because of the sufferings of the Palestinian people. And this is the only rational solution to the problem of Palestinian nationhood in that area. Palestine is a country, it is a nation, and they have all the elements of nationhood. So the two-state solution was decided in the Oslo Accord in 1990, I think, and has been supported by most countries. And it needs to be implemented if there has to be a permanent solution.
What is the bone of contention between Israel and Iran? Is it because of Iran's support to Palestine and its previous support to Hezbollah and
I
some of
have
the
lost.
proxies? This is the reason, or there is some other reason?
Yes, I think Mr. Mateen Saab, it's going to take time. I think Iran has great resilience, as I said, and
Hmm.
they will be able to hold fast. The basic problem in a war is the supply of oil, because
Hmm.
unless there is oil, the tanks and the aircraft and all the other heavy hardware of war cannot function. This is Pakistan's problem, because we can't last more than 2-3 weeks. But in
Hmm.
the case of Iran, they have the advantage that they have oil. So
Oil
I think they
facility,
can
yeah,
continue oil facility. This is very
for a
important.
longer time.
So I think they can continue longer than other countries. And I think the conflict, even when it is brought to an end,
Hmm.
as and when it does, I think, in my view, the con- the conflict situation will continue for a long time till the Palestinian situation
Hmm.
is sorted out. Because at the base of it is the question of the people of Gaza and people of Palestine.
Thank you so much indeed, former Ambassador Sarwar Naqvi Saab, who is also Executive Director for Center for International and Strategic Studies, Pakistan's former ambassador to Jordan and a number of other countries. Thank you so much. Despite your busy schedule, you participated in a talk show that is focused on evolving situation in Middle East in the aftermath of Israeli deadly airstrikes on Iran. Dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.